Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter's Movie Reviews. Today, I want to talk about the recently released 28 Years Later, which is part of the movie series that originated years and years ago with the first movie in a series, 28 Days Later. But before I can talk about 28 Years Later, which is the third movie in a series, not the final movie in a series because they're going to be releasing another one next year, I feel like I first need to talk about the first two movies in the series, which is, it started with 28 Days Later, and then there was 28 Weeks Later, and now there's 28 Years Later. I watched all three of them. I had originally, I know I saw 28 Days Later when it first came out years and years and years ago. I think I might have seen 28 Weeks Later, but I didn't really remember it. I'm really glad that I watched it though. I am now a new fan of Jeremy Renner, which I had seen him in some other things, but it was really that movie that made me kind of like fall in love with Jeremy Renner. I watched him in several things since then. So let's get into this. I want to talk about 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later before I talk about 28 Years Later. I loved all three of them, and I loved all three of them for different reasons. So let's do a little history lesson really quick, okay? So I just recently started this channel. I have another channel which is called Peter Does Stuff. And over on that channel, I have, for the last couple years, I've done Halloween movie watch-alongs where I'll pick a franchise. We did Friday the 13th. We watched all the movies in the Friday the 13th franchise, all the movies in the Halloween franchise, which I had already seen, but we rewatched last year. And so in the summer, I do Peter's Summer Movie Club, which I will now be moving over here. And so sometime earlier in the summer, my husband and I decided that we were going to watch the new Final Destination movie. But I also wanted to go back and watch all of the Final Destination movies because I hadn't seen all the movies before. So my husband and I, like over the course of a week, we watched all the Final Destination movies and the new Final Destination movie, Bloodlines. I'm going to do that review and that reaction over here in the next couple days. So I will talk about the newest Final Destination movie that just came out this year. I will be doing a review to that. But after that, I saw that the new 28 Years Later movie was coming out, or had come out, and I wanted to watch it. And so I said to my husband, I said, do you want to watch the first two 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later movie with me, and then we can watch the final one like we just did with Final Destination? He's like, no, I'm good. My husband, who is not scared of anything, he is literally, my husband has no fear about anything except for zombies. He cannot stand zombies whatsoever. So he's like, no, I'm good. You watch those on your own. And I did. And I have to tell you, I really, really enjoyed them. I think one of them I had to pay for because it wasn't streaming anywhere. I think it might have been, I think I had to pay for 28 Days Later. I think 28 Weeks Later is available on Max, and I know that I think that 28 Years Later is coming out to start streaming. It's in the theaters, or was in the theaters. And then you could buy it to rent it, or buy it or rent it, which is what I did. And I think it's going to be streaming starting this weekend. So let's get into a little bit of an overview about these past movies. 28 Days Later franchise includes 3 films so far. Like I said, they're coming out with a new one next year. 28 Days Later, which came out in 2002. 28 Weeks Later, which came out in 2007, 5 years later, and 28 Years Later, which just came out in 2025. With a sequel, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, set for release in January 2026. The original 2 films follow survivors in the UK after a rage-inducing virus, while the new installments expand the story to other continents and introduce new characters and challenges, including the return of original director Danny Boyle for the 2025 film. You can watch the official trailer for the franchise to get a sense of the story and characters. Now, I am not going to spoil the final one for you in case people haven't seen it and they want to watch it. I will just tell you my sentiment and my feelings about it. I'm not going to ruin. I will tell you this, though. If you're going to watch, you don't necessarily need to have watched the first two to watch the third one. And that was actually one of the things that I liked about 28 Years Later, was that you wouldn't have needed to see the first two. In all honesty, because I'm somebody that likes to watch an entire franchise, you wouldn't have needed to watch the first two to watch the third one. They explain what's happened. They explain what's going on. And in all honesty, it's a completely different kind of movie than the first two. So let me get into this really quick. 28 Days Later, which came out in 2002, a man awakens from a coma to find the United Kingdom overrun by people infected by a rage virus. I did not remember how this movie started. And I was kind of surprised, in all honesty, as a lover of The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead and Daryl Dixon and Dead City. I love the graphic novels. I'm a huge fan of the Walking Dead franchise. I kind of had forgotten that The Walking Dead with Rick Grimes, being in a coma, and the main character, who is it, Cillian Murphy, I think, why can't I remember his name? Hold on just a second. Why is it not pulling it up? Hold on just a second. The main character of the 28 Days movies. Why can I not remember? Why can I not remember what his name is? Anyway, Cillian Murphy, yes, who plays the main character in the first one. He also makes a cameo appearance in the newest one from 2025. I looked for him. I knew he was going to make a cameo appearance, so I was like looking for him through the whole thing. I won't ruin it for you. I thought I saw him several times, and then he's in a very short period of it, a very short moment of the movie. But he's in a coma as well when the movie starts. What I didn't remember about the movie is, I thought it was like if you had asked me before I started watching him again, it'd been so long since I'd seen it. I thought it was like very much like The Walking Dead, like a zombie breakout, or you didn't really know what the virus was. But what it starts out being is that it's these scientists that go into like a laboratory to break out these monkeys that are being tested on, and they're like, no, don't break them out, because they have this rage virus in them, which is basically a virus that makes you rage to the point of killing somebody. And so they break this monkey out, and they're trying to rescue the monkey, and the monkey attacks this one woman, and then she attacks the other people, and then they're all attacking each other, and that's how the rage virus gets out. Then Cillian Murphy wakes up, and he's in this hospital, and the hospital is empty. London is empty. It's like the UK is completely empty. And then he starts meeting people a little bit at a time. He meets this woman. They go stay in these people's apartment, this father and his daughter, and that's how 28 Days, how that movie went. I really, and then they get this, like, they're staying in this mansion with these military people, and that whole thing's real weird. I really enjoyed 28 Days. And in fact, when I watched it, I was kind of surprised how little of it I remembered. I did think that he was in the second one as well, which, if I am remembering correctly, he's not in the second one, right? Am I getting this wrong? I believe, why am I not being able to pull these up? I believe that Cillian Murphy is not in the second one. So the second one, 28 Weeks Later, is from 2007. And is a different director. Danny Boyle directed the first one. Juan Carlos Fresnadilla directed the second one. The plot takes place months after the original outbreak, focusing on a family's attempt to reunite and the subsequent reemergence of the virus in a secure zone. This one is more about this apartment complex building that is like secure, and this father like works for the government, and then like everybody, like the virus like has an outbreak, and so everybody's trying to get out, and they're trying to protect the kids who have like the kids have come over from the United States. And so then Jeremy Renner is like part of like the US government that's come over there, and they're just supposed to keep things under control, but he's really trying to get these kids out of the country to like a safe place. And that's how the second one ends. The only thing I really don't love about this franchise is there's no real follow-up. So when you watch the first one, like the second one, you never find out what happens to the people that you watched all through the first one. After you watch the second one, like this helicopter just like, that goes away. You just don't really ever find out what happens to the people in the second one. So that's the second one. And then the third one is 28 Years Later. And let me read you the synopsis for this. It has been almost 3 decades since the rage virus escaped from a biological weapons laboratory. Still living in a ruthlessly enforced quarantine, some have found ways to exist amid the infected. One such group of survivors lives on a small island connected to the mainland by a single, heavily defended causeway. When one of them decides to venture into the dark heart of the mainland, he soon discovers a mutation that has spread to not only the infected, but other survivors as well. And I have to tell you, I really enjoyed this one, but probably maybe not for the reasons that I think other people would. It's a very emotional movie in a way that I didn't really expect. I mean, it is a good movie. Not just as a horror movie. It's a really heartfelt movie. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but how it starts is, it kind of had it had like Mad Max vibes to me a little bit, where it's futuristic, but the people are kind of like, they don't have a lot of resources. Obviously, there's no electricity. So it starts with this group of people that are living on this island, and the island is extended off the mainland by this long kind of like, they say causeway, kind of roadway. I would say like almost kind of like a sidewalk, but like the length of the width of a sidewalk, but it's probably like miles long. It kind of reminded me a little bit, in all honesty, of like from Miami to the Keys, like the road from Miami to the Keys. But at night, it floods over, so nothing can get to the island, and during sunlight, then they can walk back and forth, but they hardly ever do. And so it's kind of this rite of passage for people to go to the mainland and like hunt the zombies, which they don't call them that. I can't remember what they call them in the movie, but to hunt the people that are like, have the rage virus and things like that. In this movie, though, the ones that are infected, they've kind of mutated. They've had babies. There's, I don't really want to ruin this for anybody, but there's like this one mutant, infested guy that is very well endowed. I mean, like, they force it in your face. Like, they're trying to prove a point. Like, these are supposed to be, like, the most empowered. Like, it is mutated and mutated and mutated to the point where the infected, even though they're not like smart, they are like super powerful and very, very strong and things like that. They're having babies with each other, they're infecting each other, and they're living off the land. So as the human race has continued to grow, the race has continued to, the infected race has continued to grow as well. And so they are now the enemies. They are like, it's bigger than like just the regular people that were infected in the first movie. It's now like a mutated form that is super, super powerful. There's like, they talk about there being an alpha, this guy's the alpha in it and all kind of stuff. So this dad it starts off with his dad. Like I said, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but it starts off with his dad taking this kid to the mainland as kind of a rite of passage to basically hunt the infected. And you're really just supposed to like shoot one, then come back and be like, I shot one. Then they're like, have a celebration for you. But his dad is telling him the story. They see some smoke in the distance. And his dad is telling him the story about how there was like a doctor that lived on the mainland, yada, yada, yada. And all this about the doctor. But the doctor was real strange and real weird. The doctor was played by Ralph Fiennes. And so the boy goes back. His mom is sick. She's not infected, but she's sick. And they don't know what's wrong with her. And so then there's kind of like a falling out between the dad and the son and the mom. And so the son is intent on trying to find this doctor to cure his mom. And that's really what it's about. And so it's like, so the whole movie is really about this boy wanting to find this doctor to cure his mom. The backstory is really the infected. And it's beautifully done. I just was like, there was a part of it, I won't ruin it for you, but there was a part of it where I just literally was like, I was crying. I was like, this is just so well done. And in kind of like a very bizarre, kind of like horror movie way, it's beautifully done, if that makes sense. I love that we're having horror movies now. I love the old school Friday the 13th horror movies where there's no meaning to them whatsoever, except for just, they're slasher movies. But I love the idea that we've entered a new era where horror movies can also have meaning too. And this is definitely one of those. And I thought it was really just beautifully well done. To understand what the new one's going to be about, I think you would have to watch this one first, because I think it's going to play off of what happens in this one. I thought it was, like I said, really well done. I thought that, I love the cameo from Cillian Murphy in it, because I knew that he had a cameo in it. I had seen some article or something, so I'm kind of looking for it the whole time. And it's kind of like a very brief thing that, it's not like he's in a crowd of people. Like, it's him. But then it kind of makes you wonder, like, how did he get there? What happened? Like, but they don't explain all that. It's just literally like a cameo role. But the movie is a very sad movie. It's a lot about grief. It's a lot about loss. It's a lot about how these people are surviving today. But it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say, just an apocalyptic movie, which I love apocalyptic movies. I love apocalyptic books, apocalyptic TV shows. It's not just an apocalyptic, like I'm watching War of the Worlds right now from MGM. Fantastic. Not the movie, the TV series. With Gabriel Byrne, it's 3 seasons. I'm on the 3rd season right now. It's really, really well done. But it also is about like the end of the world, but really more about relationship building and questioning your life purpose and things like that in a way that this movie did as well. And I think that this movie it surpasses it just being the 3rd part in a series of horror movies. It's a meaningful movie. And for that, I really, really loved it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I didn't think it was the most exciting out of the series. I definitely loved I think the second one is probably my favorite of the series. But I think on a meaningful level, I would definitely, give it a higher rating because of that. So I didn't think it was super scary. I wasn't like scared watching it at all. But I would give it more, I would give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good installment. I don't know that I would be like running and telling it. Maybe a 6, maybe a 6.5. I'll give it a 6.5. I don't know that I've been, I wouldn't run and tell a bunch of people to go see it unless, say, love the 28 Days Later movies. But it wasn't bad at all. And I thought that the meaning behind it and bringing the meaning out and there's other groups of people that they meet along the way and stuff like that. And that part makes it really interesting. I just don't love in this series that there's no follow-up to finding out what happened to the hour and a half, 2 hours that you invested getting to know these people. That's the only issue that I have with the series. Anyway, if you watch it, maybe let me know what you thought in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.